Okay, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me. If somebody can just pop a little note in the text box just to confirm that you can, that would be fab. Perfect. Amazing. Okay, well, thanks ever so much for coming along to the paid media track today. We've managed to curate a really awesome team of people that are going to actually be sharing a lot of different tips and tricks across paid search, shopping. We've got Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads. So we've got a whole day packed full of paid media tips and tricks for you. But I want to start off this session just by giving you some insights into some of the things that are either launching in Google and Bing or have already launched, and just give you a bit of insight into how we use those, the benefits of each of the different features that have been launched, and sort of share that with you. I will be sharing the slides right at the very end of the deck as well, so you don't need to type everything down and frantically kind of try and make lots of notes. I've tried to make the slides a little bit more detailed this time than compared to how I normally present, so that we can actually share them with you, and then you've got those takeaway tips and everything from there. So let's get started then. So what's new in the world of Google and Bing? Now, the things that we're going to look at first, we're going to cover off a lot of different areas across those two platforms, and I'm going to be looking at different things, including discovery ads, the new advertiser identity verification that we're going to have to go through, image extensions, we've got tours and activity ads. So there's a whole load of things that are coming out across the two different platforms, and we're going to go into some detail on each of those now. So let's start with Google then. The first thing that we're going to look at is discovery ads. So discovery ads are live. They're available to any account at the moment. So you can see those by literally going into creating a new campaign, and it's a campaign type rather than an ad itself. And it kind of uses a similar technique to what it does with regards to display ads, but it's reaching people across different Google feeds. Now, it used to be called the Google feed and Google Home, and now they've called the feed Google Discover. And what it means is when you're just firstly opening up your Android phone, you've got your feed that sits on the home screen. And within here now, we can start to place adverts. And it's massively geared around like the likes and the interests of the people that you're trying to target. These ads can also appear in people's YouTube feeds and can also appear in Gmail. So the way that we do it, we come into Google and we can upload our creative. So we'll upload lots of different images. This is an example here for a toy product. We upload lots of different images of that, and then you can then see how those ads will appear across all of those different platforms. Now, I have had some success with these. I don't expect massive sales from these tools, from this tool, but what you can get is a lot of brand awareness and a lot of exposure for the products or services that you're offering. So there's a few things that we need to know here, and also when you might want to use discovery ads. A couple of key things that I want to point out on here is you kind of go about creating the ads as building blocks. So you upload the key information like headlines, images, and logos, and then Google will decide how and when to show those types of ads. Now you can target two types of ads. You can have a single image or you can have a carousel. So they work really well if you're looking to promote a particular product and show lots of different images related to that. The one thing that I have seen it work well on with e-com businesses is if you take some of your top performing products that you sell, but take some of the products that aren't the most expensive. So take some of those ones that are kind of those loss leaders or ones that you can use to try and pull people into your brand. Upload lots of different images about those particular products and then showcase those products across the different platforms that sit within the Google Discover ad campaign setup. The next thing that's coming, and it's going to be rolling out very gradually over the next couple of years, is the advertiser identity verification. And it's basically Google's way of helping users feel more comfortable with the company that they're potentially going to buy from. So the ads are going to have a verification button. So when you click on that verification button, what will happen is this pop-up will appear, and it just gives that user some information about the company, who they're going to be buying from, and you can also actually see other ads that particular company are advertising. So once you hover over an ad, you can see about the advertiser, and then it will pop up, and then you can see that in there. So as I said, this is going to take some time to roll out. There are obviously millions of people, advertisers using Google Ads, but it's just something to be aware of. You'll start to get a notification in your Google Ads account that will prompt you, and you're going to have to submit lots of different bits of information about your business, personal identification information, so that Google have got that information to display within the ads. Now, they're starting off with an initial rollout. So we're starting to see this slowly rolling out across retail, media and entertainment, travel, B2B, some of those sort of core promotion of products, goods and services. And then they're also starting to roll it out across educational and informational and advisory sites. And then they're going to be moving on to some of the more content-related sites, like such as gambling, games, financial products, and so forth. So just keep an eye out for this. It is something that every advertiser is going to have to do, but it is going to take a few years for this whole thing to roll out fully. Something else that's coming out soon is image extensions. Now, Google tested these a while back, like years and years ago, and then they took them away. But I think because Bing have got image extensions, that they're starting to put those back in. They will look like this on the desktop, and it means that any business can upload images that are related to their business, so to speak. So whether that's product related or service related, you can see how much more visually appealing these ads look just by having a simple image in the corner. So that's how it will look on a desktop. On a mobile, it's going to have the image just below the headlines. And again, it just really makes those ads a lot more punchy than what they currently are. The extensions are in beta at the moment. So if you have when you're logging into your Google Ads account, if you click into extensions, you'll be able to see whether there's an option to turn on image extensions. Now, they come in two forms. You can either have dynamic image extensions, whereby Google will crawl your website or your web page, and it will pick out an image to place on the ad. This can be risky because obviously images are all over our website pages, and we want to be able to control what images are appearing. So personally for me, I switch this on, and then I would go in and switch it off as an automated extension. And then once you've enabled it, you can then actually see the extension within the drop-down menu when you go to add a new one. So a few things to consider here. I don't know if any of you have tried them, but gallery ads are something that Google brought out last year. They were in beta. I personally thought that they were great, acted as like a swiping carousel within the search results, similar to what we've got on Facebook, but they are getting rid of that. So it came into beta, tested it, and it's clearly not worked for them. So they're basically saying that image extensions are kind of going to be the replacement for the gallery ads. Now, a couple of things here. It's really important that you upload some really good quality images. Like that's going to be the thing that is going to encourage somebody to click on an ad. Like they're going to read the text, but the image is going to be the thing that's really standing out. So it's important to upload some really good quality images. There's some guidelines that you're going to have to follow in terms of sizing and everything else, but these are going to be really, really beneficial for websites that are advertising certain products or services. So definitely one to look out for within your account. Next up, this is something that's already live, came out a couple of months back now, but it's the ad policy appeal. Previously, when you'd create your ads, you'd upload them, and then there might be a problem with the ad, whether it's a potential trademark term that you've put in your ad that you need to get checked, whether you're trying to promote something that Google think is something that they don't want to be promoted, but you can actually promote it. There's various things that happen sometimes when you're uploading your ads, and that could be a timely process. You'd have to speak to somebody, pop a message in, and try and get that ad policy reapproved. But what they've done now is they've set up an approval system that you can do straight within the interface. So within Google Ads, if you come into your ad section, and you can set up a filter in the way that I have here. So you can come in and say, right, show me all of the ads that are limited by approval. So they're either limited or they're just completely not showing, and then disapproved or site suspended. And then every time that you come in, you can see if you've got any ads that are currently disapproved or limited, and then you can click to appeal it. So if you hover over the status there, and it will tell you the reason that the ad has been disapproved, and then you can click on the appeal button at the bottom there. Once you do that, it asks you whether you've actually made the changes that you need to comply with the policy, and then resubmit it. And in my experience, it takes it anywhere between sort of 12 and 24 hours. But once that's been done, the ads can then be approved. So it's a much faster and seamless way of getting ads live that previously weren't. Something else that's come out is the optimization score. So this is live within every Google Ads account now, and it's Google's way of trying to help us to understand how well optimized a particular campaign is. Now, the score is set at 3 different levels. So you have an account level score, you have a campaign type level score. So that's your search campaigns, your shopping campaigns, and then you also have a campaign level score. So they're 3 very different things. If you look at the top level, it will show you the recommendations that it's got for every campaign within your account. If you're looking at a specific campaign, it will give you the recommendations within that particular campaign. Now, Google last year was saying that they're going to try and target agencies to basically hit a maximum score, to try and encourage everybody to have 100% optimization score, saying the higher your score, the better optimized your accounts are. And it can be very tempting to try and aim for 100% optimization score. It makes it very, very tempting, but I would absolutely avoid it. They make it very easy to implement. So like you can come in here, for example, and you can see all of these apply buttons. You hit apply and that recommendation is implemented within your account instantly. Sometimes that's a good thing, but other times it's really not. So I would not recommend that you go through and just click apply, apply, apply to try and see that score going up. You have to have some human elements to it and look at it and think, does that make sense for the campaign or the business that I'm working with? So don't do that. Some of the recommendations will harm your performance and your brand. So this is an example here with regards to responsive search ads. Now, if you literally come in here and hit apply, the problem with this is you don't know whether what Google are actually putting within your responsive search ads in terms of the text. You don't know what those ads are going to look like. And they also don't give you the opportunity to amend anything. So once that's gone live, that's all in there. You can view the recommendation before you apply it, but if you don't do that, then it will literally go through this stage. So looking in here, it's putting some examples in my ads saying, right, okay, well, what we could maybe put in is 15% off until midnight. But like I know for my client that deal ended a few weeks back. So if I had just gone live with it, it could have been really detrimental to the ad performance. So it's really important to look at each recommendation in silo. Like for example, here we can see bid adjustments with target CPA. So it's recommending that six of the campaigns there have got a target CPA bidding strategy that is recommended for it. Now we can see here that top campaign recommendation is saying the target CPA is £135. I know for the business that I'm marketing here, that is not going to happen. Like if they start having a target CPA of £135, then nothing becomes profitable. So it's really important to look at every single recommendation and decide whether you think it should be implemented or not. There will be recommendations where you're like, okay, yeah, that's just not right for the business that I'm working with. I don't want to implement that. Or you might have already implemented that, but outside of the recommendations interface. So if you click on the 3 little dots here, it will give you a bunch of reasons as to why you can disapprove something. So in here, you can come in and say, right, I've already made that recommendation. I don't want to do that. I want to have the control over my bids. I don't think it's going to improve the performance. And it's really important that you do this because the more we feed into the tool, the more Google's going to learn. Within our campaign level as well, so when we're looking at our reporting, we can actually add in a new column that gives us our optimization score so that we can see if there's certain campaigns that are a lot lower than others, and therefore we can then start to work through some of the recommendations that are in there. As I say, some of the recommendations are really, really valuable, and especially if you're new to PPC and just want some guidance on the types of things that Google are recommending we do to try and improve performance, this is a very good place to start. It does help Google's engine to learn and improve. So the more recommendations that you implement, the better. But then just, again, make sure that you're using them sparingly so that you're using the ones that are actually working. The optimization score will improve when you dismiss them as well. But I wouldn't recommend that you just go through and say, right, I don't want to implement anything and just dismiss everything. You want to go through and implement the ones that we think are going to work and then dismiss the rest. So that's a few things with Google. Now let's have a look at Microsoft Ads. Like, these guys have come on massively in the past few years, and they're launching some really cool features that I want to share with you today. Normally what we find with Bing is that they tend to try and compete against some of the things that Google have launched, and just, they're kind of playing catch up on some of the stuff, which is still happening, of course, but then they've also really innovatively come up with a load of new things at the moment. One thing that I think is going to work brilliantly with Bing is their new action extensions. And what they are is at the bottom of your ads, you can now change what your call to action will be. So similar to the options that we've got within Facebook, where we can decide whether we've got like a download, a shop, a browse, a subscribe. Facebook gives us around 12 to 15, I think, different call to actions that we can use, whereas Bing have come out with 62. So you can see there's a huge number of different call to actions that you can put at the bottom of your ad, and it just makes it more user friendly. Like you're actually using the ad to encourage somebody to take a specific action. So that's where these can come. They're very, very handy to use. Few things to consider with these. Now, you can use them at an account level, you can use them at a campaign level or an ad group level. Personally, I think depending on obviously what it is that you're advertising, I wouldn't have an account level call to action, but you may well have one for campaign. Ad group may be a little bit granular, but it does depend on what you're advertising, obviously. You can combine these with all of the other extensions that are available to us. And in testing, beta testers actually saw an increase in CTR of about 20%. So these things are going to be really, really valuable. Some of the initial actions to test, I think, again, when we're looking back here and looking at all of the different things that we can use, there's so many different things in here, but some of the main ones that they've seen real successes with are download, apply now, reserve, subscribe, buy now, and free quote. So just have a play around with those initial actions just to see what could potentially work for your business. Next up, that's coming soon, is the Automotive Inventory Ads. Now, this is something that's not available on Google at the moment, and I think this could really, really take off and really start to push Bing ahead of the curve. So the way that these work is you have a feed of different cars that you've got to sell, whether that's a used car or a new car, and you can upload it in the same way as you would a shopping feed, but this time it's for cars. The ads, once you've uploaded those, will look like this within the search results. So somebody searched for a type of car, and then these ads are then popping up. So you can see that they're just very similar to shopping ads, but specific for cars and that are new or used. As I say, Google haven't got this yet, so I'm really excited to try this out. I'm working with a car dealership at the moment, so I'm really looking forward to trying to see how this actually works and as they're kind of rolling it out. It's currently in beta at the moment, and it's only available in the US, but once they've kind of gone through that process, it will then start to be rolled out across different countries as well. A couple of things to point out here. There's no keywords required here, so it does work in exactly the same way as what shopping ads will work. You don't have keywords. The feeds, however somebody searches, Bing will match the feed up with the search, and then it will pick out the vehicles that are relevant to that person's search query. So we can still use things like negatives to combat things that we're not selling, but they work really well for sort of triggering hyper-local things. So in these examples here, somebody might be searching for the Honda Accord in London, and if that matches up with your feed and you know that you've got car dealerships in London, it can be a great way of trying to encourage people to come into your dealership because they can see what cars you've got available. As I said at the start, this does work for used, new, and pre-owned cars. So I think this is going to be a really interesting beta, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results that a lot of the testers have kind of got out of using this campaign type. The other thing that they're launching is their tour and activities ads. Again, this isn't something that Google are doing at all. I think it's going to be interesting to see how these will work. At the moment, it is an open beta, so everybody can try these, but the ads will only be shown to people in the US. So it hasn't been rolled out so that every country can see them. They're testing it in different countries, but the only people that will see it are people that are based in the US. So the ads can appear in 3 different places. So the ads can appear in the search results. Again, they look a little bit like shopping ads, but here the search has been London tours, and then you've got 3 different tours or activities that you can do in London that are appended to that particular search query. So that's how that looks in the search results. We can then see how they will look in Bing Maps. So I think this is going to be really valuable. Like, people are searching in Bing. I think Bing's obviously one of the more popular search engines over in the US. But you're on Bing ads, you're looking for something to do with New York City, and then you can see different activities and tours that you can do in New York. They also can appear in Bing's travel guides. So Bing have got travel guides for lots of different cities and locations throughout the world. And if somebody's gone onto a particular travel guide, then we're starting to see ads appearing in there for different tours and activities that can be used. Again, really, really valuable to the user, especially if somebody's going on holiday or visiting a particular destination and they're looking for things to do. These ads can be very, very, very valuable to the user and work very well for the advertiser as well. A couple of things on here that we need to consider. Only 3 ads maximum will appear at the moment, and a minimum of 1. So you're not going to end up with a whole page of different activities similar to what we've got in the shopping results. So maximum 3 ads are going to appear. No keywords are required. We upload a feed of everything, of all the different things that we've got, and they will automatically be matched to that user search query. So again, similar to the inventory ads that we spoke about previously, but this time for tours and guides. Types of experiences to consider using this for. So if you've got sightseeing or guided tours, theme parks and attractions in a local area, museums, cultural experiences, food and dining experiences, it does make me wonder whether we'll have the ability to maybe use this for restaurants and things in the future. But at the moment, it's just purely used for the tours and attractions that are on offer in those particular locations. Next up, we've got image extensions, but slightly different image extensions for Bing. So Bing have already been using standard image extensions, but they are now launching in beta their multi-image extension. So when you search for something on Bing ads, and we're actually seeing here, we've got now 4 images that sit underneath the ad, which is brilliant. And you can click on the different images and it will deep link you into that particular page. So again, similar to what we've got with regards to Google launching their image extensions, but Bing have taken it one step further and are offering us to have multiple images sat below the ads. A few things to point out here. This isn't available for everyone yet, so don't worry if it's not within your account at the moment. It will be coming soon. You can display up to 5 different ads, 5 different images underneath the ad. A minimum of 5 images has to be uploaded. So if you've got a product or a service that is not overly image heavy, I wouldn't recommend just keep uploading images just for the sake of it. They need to be really relevant. Like, you don't want to upload things that aren't relevant to the product or service that you're offering. They have to be relevant to the landing page as well. You don't want to start uploading images that aren't kind of seen on the landing page. Best practice is when you're setting up campaigns, you want to have a campaign, then you've got your ad group that contains really relevant keywords that are closely matched to each other. The ad is then relevant to the keywords, and then the landing page is then relevant to the ad. So making that transition from search to ad to landing page is just as important with the imagery as what it would be with the text. So treat these in the same way. You can't upload any text or phone numbers to the images. This is really important, otherwise the ads will just get disapproved. So that's your multi-image extensions. Another thing that Bing are kind of really pushing more is their audience types, and they've got lots of different audience types available to us now, and we can start to use them in different combinations. So types of audiences that we've got similar audiences, which is the same as Google, where we can upload a list of our existing customers, or we can take a remarketing audience from our website, and Bing will basically build out an audience that looks and acts and feels like your existing customer base. Customer match is where you upload your actual email database, and then you can target those people. Custom audiences are using a DMP, a data management platform, and it can really help to sharpen your performance if you're using first-party data alongside your campaigns. You've got remarketing, so that's based on the people that have visited your website in the past, so we can set up our RLSA campaigns. One thing that we can do on Microsoft Bing Ads is LinkedIn profile targeting. So this is obviously not available on Google because Microsoft own LinkedIn. And this is becoming extremely powerful in the US. So they basically allow us to surface our audiences, surface ads to our audiences that are based on LinkedIn profiles. So we can target people based on the industry that they work in, certain job titles. And if the company is large enough, you can sometimes even target people that work at a certain company. So it gets very, very powerful when you're using this combined with your search campaigns. Product audiences are similar to what we've got with remarketing, but for specific products that people have viewed. Then we've got in-market audiences, so we can surface ads to people that are in market for, say, a new car or a hotel or flights. Bing will look at previous search queries that that person has done, and it will understand what that person's in market to, and then you can further enhance your campaigns with that. And one of the more recent features that they've launched is their custom combination list, where we can take a whole host of different things in terms of audience targeting, and we can combine them, and we can mix them all together so that we've then got really, really powerful features. So combining features is extremely powerful. And I think the more we start to do this and the more we start to enhance our campaigns with different audiences, the better the performance is going to be. So a couple of points on here then. There's a few ways that you can use audiences together. So if you want to reach existing customers, you can mix together your custom audiences, your customer match, remarketing, and product audiences. If you want to reach brand new customers, then you can go after things such as in-market audiences, your LinkedIn profile targeting, or similar audiences. And the bit that is coming soon that's currently in beta is the custom combination lists, as I said earlier. So you would be able to combine a lot of those different features using and or not, and it makes it a lot easier to target a real specific set of users rather than just targeting by keyword, layering the different audiences on top. So a couple of best practices in here then. So if you're looking to target new people, you want to expand your match types and test broad match with audience targeting. So for example, you could, if you were selling fridge freezers, you might not necessarily just want to be bidding on the word fridge freezer, because again, the cost is going to be high and you're going to get a lot of traffic through, but people are still very much in that research phase. So what you can do with that is you could layer a remarketing audience to it. So if you know that somebody's been on your website before and then they do a subsequent search for fridge freezer, then let's show them an ad so that you're not just mass marketing to everybody that's searching for that. You're really honing in on the people that are kind of warm leads already because they've already visited the website. You can also test different campaign types as well. So audience targeting does work across all of the different campaign types, including shopping, the Microsoft audience ads and dynamic search ads as well. So it's important to try different audiences layered across all your different campaign types as well. We can also capture a lot more mobile traffic. So if you extend your campaign types across all of the different devices, and then you can increase and decrease bids based on the different devices that people are using. And we can also bid on a lot more broader terms again. So for example, if we are using our in-market audiences, so if we're trying to target somebody that's in market for a new car, we might be able to then bid on the word new car if we are layering that particular audience over the top. So it's going to just narrow the audience down, make it a lot more targeted, and then give you the ability to market to more people, but keeping that cost under control. And then finally, Bing Ads are launching a new interface. So following what Google did a couple of years back, where they completely redesigned the interface, but Bing have kind of followed suit on that. And when you look at the new platform that they've designed, it's a lot slicker. A lot of people do say that Bing Ads, when you're logging into the platform, is a lot harder to kind of navigate around. It's a little bit more clunky. So they've taken that feedback on board and they've now completely redesigned the platform. So they're giving us a new, if you're running multiple accounts, so if you've got a management account, so whether you're an agency or you might be a brand that has multiple brands, so you have different Bing Ads accounts. In here, we can now have a manager account overview, and it gives us a nice summary of all the different accounts that we're managing. It also has a handy search function. So this is one thing that Google brought out when they released their interface change, is you can now pop in the search bar, because sometimes finding all these different things in a new interface can be quite hard. So you can pop in what you need at the top and then do a search, and it will take you straight through to that section of the interface. The account overview page that they've created gives us a great snapshot of the performance. So again, this is similar to how we've seen within Google, where we've got the recommendations, we've got all the different performance metrics at the bottom, but it gives us a nice snapshot of what's working and what's not. The actual navigation is a lot more seamless this time. So we can see campaigns over on the left-hand side, and then within each of those campaigns, you've then got your subset of navigation to sort of navigate your way around. This is in beta at the moment. So if you are interested in trying it out, there's a form that you can fill in. So when I share the slides with you, this will be a clickable link. Takes you straight through. Just pop in your Microsoft advertising ID, and then your request will get put through. And then they're trying to get a lot of early testers in just to make sure the whole thing is actually working. So that's it. So that's all of the different things. I think we've gone over about 11 different things that are launching. So I would recommend that you sort of have a play around, look at when things are coming into your accounts and see what's there. This is the link. So if you want to click through, so if you just go to https://bit.ly/upload-search, and then you can download the slides straight from my Dropbox account. So I'm just going to end the slide presentation now, come back into the screen, and then I'm going to have a little look and see if we've got any questions. Okay. Perfect. Right, let me just have a little look and see what have we got here. Top 3 things we should be doing as a business to have the best impact with a national brand. Okay, for me, from a PPC perspective, if you've got a brand and you want to have visibility nationally, one thing that a lot of people do say is, should I have a brand campaign? Should I not have a brand campaign? Absolutely, you need the brand campaign. So I would definitely make sure that you've got a brand campaign running. Depending on the business, so if you're a lead gen business, then I would recommend search ads completely. And if you're an e-com business, then you want to be using search and shopping. Shopping campaigns, I've been playing around a lot more with smart shopping campaigns, and I don't know I think Liam might be bringing some of the stuff up on those in the next session. But smart shopping campaigns, if you use them correctly, can work brilliantly. And they're actually used to showcase all your products across lots of different platforms within Google, and the whole thing is fully automated. So for e-com brands, I would definitely be using shopping campaigns and also trying out the smart shopping campaigns. The other thing that I would recommend trialing is the discovery ads. So discovery ads on Google, I think, are going to be great for kind of driving that brand awareness. So I'd recommend dabbling in those just to try and drive some more brand awareness. From a Bing perspective, if you're not using Bing, I would absolutely test it. Like, you're never going to get the same amount of traffic coming through on Bing as what you would do on Google, but it's absolutely worthwhile testing. I've got a finance client that I'm working with at the moment that has moved the bulk of their budget that they were spending with Google over to Bing because it's converting so much better. Like, we're seeing the conversion rates go through the roof from Bing compared to Google. So although the volume might be lower, it's absolutely worth testing. A couple of other people have said in here, do you treat Microsoft differently from Google, or are they exactly the same? So the way I tend to approach this is I will get my campaigns working properly on Google. Once I'm happy that it's been optimized and I've got my ads running, I will then show, you can then import those campaigns directly into Bing. They are very, very separate campaigns. So what works in one platform might not work in the other. So although you can import the campaigns really easily, you still need to manage them separately. Like, there's a completely different type of audience that use Bing compared to Google. So you want to make sure that you're optimizing and managing Bing completely separately to Google. You can use the same campaigns, but once you've actually uploaded them, optimizing and managing them ongoing needs to be treated as sort of separate entities. A couple of other things here. We've got, is Bing relevant across all countries? Yes. There are certain countries where Bing is more prominent than Google. Like if in the US, for example, a lot of people are using Bing. In the UK, it's got about a 25% market share now. That's not just from their search campaigns. That is from the different platforms that they use. So like when you think about the Amazon Alexa, that's powered by Bing. If you think about Gumtree, all of the ads that you see on Gumtree are powered by Bing. So they've grown through acquisition of different channels, not just purely through search, but absolutely it is relevant across all countries and worthwhile testing. So next question we've got is, what is the most common mistake someone new would make when they first start exploring Google Ads? What would you have told yourself when you first started? That's a great question. The biggest mistake that people make when they're first starting out with Google Ads is using the interface and following the step-by-step guides from Google in terms of setting up a new campaign. They make it extremely easy to set up a campaign, but they make it extremely easy to set that campaign up wrong. For example, the match type. So the way that you would go through and set up a campaign as a new person to the interface is you just put in different keywords that you think are relevant to the business, and Google come up with ideas and say, oh, this could be relevant, this could be relevant. But the more broad you go with setting up campaigns, the more it's going to cost, and it's not going to convert for you. So I think taking the advice that Google give from the offset is the biggest mistake that you can make. You have to understand what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just lining their pockets with budgets that are just going to get spent very, very quickly, and campaigns are just not going to perform. Okay, another question. We've got one more question here. Do you use Search 360 or any other management platform across Google and Bing? No, personally, I don't. But that's purely because I've got no clients that are using Search Ads 360 at the moment. Have used it in the past. It's good because it opens up more audience features. It allows you to get a little bit more granular with regards to bidding. But I wouldn't recommend using it on sort of small accounts. That's a lot easier to use if you've got bigger accounts with lots of different campaigns in there. The other thing I should mention, actually, Bing have recently launched, and I think this is still in testing at the moment for agencies, and I think they're using it for some small to medium-sized businesses, but they've launched this new tool where you can actually manage your Bing and your Google campaigns in one. So it's basically like a management platform for both of the campaigns. So you can import everything, can have everything running from this one interface. I haven't played around with it yet, but I will after this talk as well. I'll share the link to that on Twitter so that you can get access to that tool. But that's a really useful one that I think could be good for any advertisers that are running campaigns across the two platforms. One more question. So we've got to jump off here in about a minute's time, but we've got, have you got any case studies on using broad keywords combined with audience targeting? I don't have any specific case studies that I can share, but in my experience, I've run lots of different campaigns where we've kind of run broad keywords across our remarketing audiences, and they work brilliantly. It just allows you to try and capture those people that are already familiar with your brand, who are searching for some of those more generic terms again. Can also work really well if you've got an existing customer base that you've uploaded. If somebody is then searching for a product or service that they might not have known that you offer, it can encourage people to come back in for sort of repeat purchases as well. Right, guys, I think we are just about up in terms of time, but if you've got any other questions or need anything, drop me a tweet and I will share the slides on Twitter as well in a moment. But thank you ever so much for joining me.